The pros and cons of popular diets and their effects on both aerobic and anaerobic performance.
Since nutrition differs from one athlete to the next, an athlete must have accurate knowledge about what to eat. Nutritional misunderstandings can hurt an athlete's performance. There are many diets that are completely different that may work best for an individual to meet their athletic goals. Some common diets that many individuals follow are the carnivore diet, the ketogenic diet, intermediate fasting, paleo diet, and the vegan diet.
The ketogenic diet is a diet that lacks carbohydrates and has abundant of fats and proteins. This diet is a diet that most people have trouble following due to how strict and how hard it is to follow. In order to succeed in this diet, there are certain things that can and cannot be consumed. For example, no carbohydrates can be consumed when following this diet. The ketogenic diet uses a different form of energy or fuel. So rather than using sugars or glucose that comes from the carbohydrates for energy, the body uses ketone bodies that are stored in the body. Ketone bodies are an energy or fuel that is produced in the liver and muscles that comes from stored fat. The body's main source of energy comes from the blood sugar or the body cells, but if the carbohydrates are restricted and the sugar is not available, the body starts to break down the stored fat for energy. The energy stored in the body is mostly used for high intense exercise and performance. The ketogenic diet only allows certain foods, and these foods include berries, meats, fish, eggs, cheese, nuts, low sugar, coffee, and many oils. So this diet is very strict and allows no carbs at all. Ketone bodies are used as a source of energy in the brain rather than using glucose, and once the ketone bodies enter the brain, it is converted into acetyl-CoA, which eventually leads to the production of ATP. The important and potential mechanisms of the body are mostly centered and focused on the energy from the brain. For example, the neurotransmitters, ion channels, and oxidative stress. The energy that comes from the ketogenic diet increases the neuron's ability to manage the challenges in the brain, which improves the brain function and survival during stressful conditions. So when doing anaerobic and aerobic exercise, the ketogenic diet helps the athlete concentrate on what he or she is doing. When first starting the ketogenic diet, an athlete might feel nausea and weak due to the side effects. So when the athlete is beginning their training and starting their diet at the same time, the athlete might feel sluggish and hungrier than usual. This is because the body is not used to cutting carbohydrates and using the intake of carbohydrates as energy.
Intermittent fasting is the next diet we'll be looking at. It refers to the idea of abstaining from eating food for a certain period during the day and consuming calories during the eating hours. There are many different types of intermittent fasting, and each involve either skipping 1 or 2 meals. Some involve skipping days of eating meals. Fasting is a diet that athletes may use to either lower their body weight or if they want to alter body composition. Types of intermittent fasting. So the most common type is the 16-8 method. Here individuals will fast for 16 hours, typically overnight, and then they would eat during an 8-hour window. During this window, during the fast, they will only eat small snacks, water, coffee. Other than that, no food is allowed. The next method is the eat, stop, eat. This requires a person to fast for 24 hours straight. So you would not eat from dinner from one day to dinner the next day. Some even do it twice, so they will skip 2 days. The next method is the 5-2 method. This is for individuals looking to be in a caloric deficit. So they will ingest 500 calories for 2 non-consecutive days. And then the other days that are remaining, 2 days, they will eat normally, have a normal schedule. The last method, which is something that is very common, is Ramadan fasting. So this is a religious fast, typically in the Muslim religion. In this method, they do not eat between dusk and dawn. During that fast, they do not eat or drink anything at all. So the intermittent fasting effects on the body. Fasting boosts weight loss by decreasing our insulin levels, causing our fat cells to be released as energy. Once they lower the insulin levels, fat will begin to burn off. Studies show that people feel extreme hunger throughout the day. It does lead to fatigue with the minimal food intake. This diet provides minimal energy stores, as I mentioned, because of the decrease in nutrients that you are consuming. At the onset of exercise, the body begins to use the stores that they do have, causing it to lead to depletion pretty fast. So as I said, athletes experience fatigue and exhaustion fairly quickly. The timing of the food intake is very influential on our performance. So if you eat an hour before exercise, 2 hours after, all this matters. Any meal skipped can really hinder our ability to provide sufficient amounts of energy. Cons of intermittent fasting on performance. So the first negative effect is decrease in power output. With decreases in fat and protein consumption, power output will decrease. Decreases in performance. Same thing with power output. With these decreases in nutrients, protein, fats, it's going to be hard to improve your performance. A decrease in energy stores with the not enough, adequate amounts of nutrients to supply the energy stores. It's going to be very hard to, create that energy. Faster time to exhaustion. Studies show that decreases in energy stores make these individuals reach exhaustion and fatigue much faster. The pros of intermittent fasting on performance. So there is a decrease in body fat percentage. Since individuals are eating less, they're consuming less fats, less carbs, so they will decrease their fat percentage and improve body composition. Long-term adaptations metabolically for individuals on Ramadan fasting. They begin to see lifestyle adaptations and are able to perform much better on aerobic activities. There's a small effect on muscle growth. There hasn't been any significant evidence that it decreases muscle growth in any way. Muscle area pretty much remains constant. Reduced insulin levels. Once individuals lower their caloric intake, they were able to see reduction in insulin levels, and fasting can be one way to control and maintain sugar levels.
The carnivore diet is a very restrictive regimen that only allows individuals to eat animal-sourced foods. It also includes other animal products, such as bone marrow, bone broth, or eggs. It also allows low lactose diet, such as heavy cream, hard cheese, and butter. This diet eliminates the contribution of all plants and carbs as well as xenobiotic secondary metabolics. This diet is referred to as a low-carb, high-fat diet. The carnivore diet involves eating only animal products. This means eliminating all plants and consuming mostly meat, water, and salt. So the main points of a carnivore diet food list would be meat, fish, shellfish, other animal products, organ meats, and the only thing that we can consume as a beverage would be water. This is a very restrictive eating approach that has been claimed to help induce rapid fat loss, reduce inflammation, reverse certain autoimmune conditions, as well as healing chronic digestive issues. building muscle and increasing testosterone levels. The carnivore diet has many proponents of carnivorism that also recommends limiting dairy intake as much as possible. Only foods that are low in lactose, such as milk and sugar, such as butter and hard cheese, are permitted in small amounts. So the small amounts that are able to be consumed in a carnivore diet would be low lactose dairy, processed or smoked meats such as bacon, sausage, beef jerky, seasonings. The only seasonings that we're able to use would be salt, pepper, and seasoning with no carbs at all, and low toxin plants such as olive, avocados, lettuce, cucumbers, but only without the skin and seeds. The food that we have to avoid during a carnivore diet would be automatically plant-based, such as vegetables, fruits, high lactose dairy, legumes, nuts and seeds, grains, alcohol, added sugars, beverages other than water, such as like soda, coffee, tea, to try to help build that strict regimen that we need for the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet pros would be the simplicity, which is a greater advantage of the carnivore diet, with how straightforward it is, and tied with distinguishing what fundamental and taking out the rest. The second would be the support on mental health and mood, such that it gives abundant measures of zinc, DHA, vitamin B12, iron, and vitamin B6, which can uphold a taste of mind and positive emotional well-being. The third being energy boost. It's a fuel for your mitochondria, the metabolic motor for your cells. At this point, you don't get to measure the protein, nutrients, and supplements in your body gradually, but at one point after consuming so much, your body comes to a plateau, and your body isn't able to burn that energy or make it a fuel for the mitochondria, so it kind of stops you from achieving your goals, and etc. Increased weight loss. Most importantly, it keeps up solid insulin levels by eliminating all food varieties on the Mount Rushmore of glycemia. Keeping up solid insulin may likewise assist with weight loss. The second punch would be removing prepared garbage and driving all the waste off of protein, fat, and ketones that would lessen your appetite. You'll be more satisfied even at a lower caloric admission. The fifth one would be keep your skin clear and healthy. So the carnivore diet furnishes you with extensive measures of supplements such as vitamin B12, keratin, long-chain omega-3, retinol from an animal form of a vitamin A, and the sixth one would be the support overall health and wellness. By expanding the protein, removing high glycemic foods, whereas eliminating vegetable oil, you'll cut out probably the greatest offenders and focus on the food source with the greatest medical advantages. The cons of carnivore diet would be increased risk of heart disease, given that the carnivore diet comprises exclusively of animal foods varieties. It will in general be higher in immersed fat. Consequently, this can raise LDL particle counts. The second would be contribute to nutrient deficiencies. While meat is nutritious and gives a different exhibit of micronutrients, it doesn't sustain the requirements for our body with each nutrient and mineral. The third con would be doesn't provide fiber. Fiber is a non-edible carb that advances gut well-being, takes care of our microbiome, and advances solid defecations. Since fiber exclusively exists in plant foods varieties, the meat eater diet won't accompany these advantages. Number 4, it lacks health promoting phytonutrients. 5, significant impact on hormone levels. despite the fact that there isn't any drawn out information on what an all meat diet means. For chemical levels, it is possibly going to affect thyroid capacity and richness. The sixth carnivore diet con would be the increased exposure to harmful components for high heat cooking. So what this means is that all in the essential meat eater feast, like flame broiled steaks, will accompany high coverages of possibly harmful mixtures, such as in when we're out cooking outside in the grill. There's certain like the carbon that's affecting the meat to have a greater advantage of being chemically harmful to our bodies due to the higher heat of the cooking for this. Vitamins and effects of the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet utilizes diverse metabolic pathways and enzymes, and it removes numerous enemies of supplements that block nutrient and mineral retention. Vitamin C is practically indistinguishable from glucose biochemically, due to that glucose and vitamin C compete for ingestion. To try and lower the glucose, the higher bioavailability of the vitamin C that you do have. Retinol, which is an animal form of an equivalent of vitamin A, is better than beta-carotene in plant form. Long-chain omega-3s in seafood is better than the short-chain omega-3 found in plants. Due to that, in meat, it's less probability of them having toxins compared to the plant-based form. The meat also gives us creatine for our muscles, kerosene, taurine, and vitamin B12. These are some deficiencies that are found in carnivore diet due to that we are only able to consume meats in very limited amount of dairy products and not able to consume any plant products. So some of the deficiencies that could be in the carnivore diet would be the vitamin A, folate, magnesium, vitamin E, K2, calcium, and vitamin C. So on these, it's very hard for us to kind of try to get these nutrients and minerals into our bodies due to the high amount of meat that we're consuming, since it is a low carb, high fat. So it's harder for us to try and get all the minerals needed and vitamins in our body. But essentially, we would we won't need them as much due to that the meat is nutritious and provides a diverse array of micronutrients that doesn't nourish our needs for every vitamin and mineral that is recommended or required within our bodies.
Many individuals are misled and uneducated to assume that being vegan means that you are lacking vital nutrients from your body, such as not having enough protein, calcium, vitamin B12, iron, vitamin C, zinc, omega-3 fatty acids, and calcium. However, many researchers claim that through the consumption of a vegan diet, one can attain all nutrients meat and dairy foods have by incorporating whole food meals, supplements, and meat substitutions. Individuals who associate with this way of eating are known as vegans, and their diet consists of fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, legumes, and grains. They also refrain from the consumption of all kinds of animal products. Vegan diets not only reflect a lead to increase of public recognition and awareness, but the number of vegans in sports, including many world-class athletes, is also rising. Protein plays an essential role in growth and development by recovering and restoring tissues in the muscles, skin, hair, nails, organs, blood, etc. Protein is also known to distribute energy as an emergency fuel. Calcium is an essential mineral for muscle contraction by inducing an emergency consuming chain reaction that produces the structure and shortening of myofilaments. Calcium is commonly believed to be necessary for blood clotting, nerve propagation, muscle relaxation, vitamin D metabolism, and bone structure maintenance. Vitamin B12 is made by microorganisms found in soil, and the body's energy producing processes. B vitamins are required, while folate and vitamin B12 are needed to create new cells, such as red blood cells, and to develop new muscle cells. The recommended way for individuals that follow a vegan diet to meet their suggested B12 consumption is through supplementation. Zinc is beneficial for athletes because being inactive due to a viral infection or another injury will cause them to miss significant training time. It has been shown in studies that zinc increases three important hormones involved in muscle development: testosterone, growth hormone, and insulin-like growth factor. Omega-3s can help with a variety of things after a workout, from strengthening the brain and heart to easing recovery. Omega-3 fatty acids supplementation has been shown to be helpful to the nervous and cardiovascular systems, as well as providing anti-inflammatory properties that help reduce exercise-induced muscle injury. Athletic diets usually need a high-volume carbohydrate intake to accommodate large training levels based on the style of exercise, the athlete's gender, and the diet's purpose. Vegan diets have far more carbohydrates, fiber, fruits and vegetables, antioxidants, and phytochemicals than omnivore diets. A vegan diet mostly consists of the major important nutrients needed for exercise and can be an option for an athlete to follow this way of eating.
Hey guys, my name is Angela Melissa Costa. I am a registered dietitian. I have been in practice for close to 5 years now. I definitely work with obese pediatrics. That's my area, that's my field of study. And I do work or have worked, done my internship in the hospital. So I'm aware of some of the diets that we're going to be discussing today for the interview. And I just wanted to let you guys know my brief intake when it comes to working with diets on a daily basis, even though some of the diets are very restrictive diets to some patients in the hospital setting. So we just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of knowledge in regards to what we're going to be talking today.
Okay, ready? Okay. Which diet do you think is best to follow between the 5 diets?
Okay guys, so my intake on the 5 diets, the first diet that I would recommend from any of the diets would be just the paleo diet if I had to choose between one. Ketogenic diets, which is something that I was talking about, are more targeted to be used in the hospital setting. So if you have a patient, for example, that has epileptic seizures, we're going to be placing that patient on a ketogenic diet. So my intake on that is not following the diets or having just a vegan diet because we're going to be lacking in protein. But the paleo diet is going to give us a more extensive, wide variety of protein. We're going to have still our vegetable intake, and we're going to have a variety of carbohydrates, of proteins, of fats that are going to be linked to the diet. So long term, we're looking at this is what's going to be able to help us out if I had to choose one, which I personally, I'm not a big fan of choosing one specific diet to follow. It is a little bit higher in the BCAAs, which are branched chain amino acids, and that helps with overall neurological health. So if I had to choose one, it would more than likely be that, as it helps with muscle development.
Okay. Have you ever had a patient that improved their health due to a change of diet?
So since I don't work in the hospital setting, I don't work specifically with patients that I have to really change their diets constantly because of a severe medical condition. But I have done, for example, vegan diets. With the vegan diet, my only issue is the amount of protein that the patient is going to be intaking. So with that specific patient, when I was working with that patient with obese pediatrics, I did notice based off culture, because they were going to go vegan because of their culture. So I did notice a change in, for example, a lipid panel. So a patient came in with high triglyceride levels, high cholesterol levels. They came in with a fatty liver, which are the 3 main diagnoses that I'm working with. And they wanted to go ahead and see if this diet was going to be beneficial for them. And indeed, after a 6-month lab work test, they did improve their overall cholesterol levels, they did improve their triglyceride levels, and their liver enzymes diminished more than half. So that was a diet that I can say that has worked for a patient, me specifically working with a patient. And I do have colleagues that work in the hospital setting that have done ketogenic diets just to be able to help out, all of our patients that do get epileptic seizures and stuff like that. So pretty much that's what I've worked with or what I've dealt with personally.
Okay. And from the 5 diets, which diet would you not recommend to trained athletes?
One of the diets that I personally would not recommend is the intermittent fasting. Athletes, guys, or whenever you're an athlete and you're training to become an athlete, you have to make sure that you're having your meals right on time. So intermittent fasting is not going to be able to help you because your muscles they need to be recovered. So if you're going to train in the morning, as an example, you have to make sure that you have enough protein, enough fat, enough carbohydrate in order to be able to sustain the amount of energy that you're going to need throughout that workout. Now, that only isn't true just for your morning workouts, but also for a trained athlete. You're exhausting your body to its limit, right? So if you're not having enough food intake and you're fasting, that's not going to give you the muscle growth development that you're going to need to be able to outperform. If you're in a competition, for example, and you have to be able to outperform other athletes, you have to make sure that you're training consistently and giving your body your muscle recovery. So that's probably one of the ones that I wouldn't recommend, just because you do have to be fasting for a long period of time, and it's not something that's going to provide energy. It's not going to provide muscle growth. So like, for example, if I did have to, in this case, not recommend one diet, it would probably be the intermittent fasting because of its you know, it's just so tough on the body to not be eating for a long period of time.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you so much, guys.